Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wellness Wednesdays with Karen Body and Benny Beauty by Bree. We talk about everything you need regarding health and beauty, how to take care of your skin and yourself naturally inside and out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if that's the type of videos you like seeing, and like this video. So today, we're going to be talking about the true causes of illness. So a disclaimer before I start anything, I just want to say this is purely for informational purposes. I am not a doctor. I am not your doctor. This is not to be taken in the place of advice from a legal recognized health practitioner. This is purely informational. This is not intended to treat or cure any diseases. This is purely informational. All right, now that we got that out the way, let's just get right into it as usual. So, the true causes of disease. So, in today's society, the modern medicine and doctors and everything like that, they tend to focus on treating symptoms of diseases versus actually getting to the root cause of the disease. But what if I said that emotional imbalances and neglect were the true causes of physical diseases? What if your emotions being out of whack and not being addressed for years and years and years cause physical diseases to develop? So that's overall the topic for today's video. And of course, I got some facts for you. So, alrighty, humans. Humans are holistic beings. Holistic means, in summary, that everything is connected. So if you say you have an emotional issue, you're going to have a physical issue and you're going to have a mental issue. Mind, body, spirit. Mental, physical, emotional. Everything is connected. If you have a physical issue, which physical issues tends to be the very last thing to manifest. So it typically stems from an emotional or mental issue, but everything is connected. So when one is hit, the other one's going to get hit too, whether you recognize that or not. So with that being said, physical diseases, especially like very intense ones like cancer, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, all that type of stuff, can be traced back to an emotional or mental imbalance that you probably just did not know you had or knew and consciously chose to ignore it for years. And it built up and became a physical manifestation of that imbalance. So, y'all know my handy dandy book, African Holistic Health. I just didn't have I don't know. It just wouldn't have been convenient for me to get myself together to be on the camera right now in the time frame of me making this video and the time frame of everything else that I have to do today. So excuse me for that. But y'all know my handy dandy book, African Holistic Health by Dr. Laila Africa. He mentions this. So the example I want to give is about diabetes. So we also have a video on our Instagram from our old Wellness Wednesdays before we moved to YouTube, where we talked about emotional eating and the different types of like foods and consistencies that are associated with emotional imbalances that you may look to food to treat. So one of those things was sugary foods / sweets and their association with lack of proper nurturing in childhood and the inability to give and or receive love. So keeping that in mind, let's look at the disease known as diabetes, right? So let's say during childhood you didn't have emotionally attentive parents or caregivers, whatever the case was. They didn't properly nurture you. You didn't get, hugs and kisses and all that type of stuff. You just never had that nurturing and that love. You were never able to receive that love, or something happened where you feel like you unable to give love without any type of issue, right? So you got that issue that's stemming from your childhood, your earliest memories, your first couple years in existence on this planet. So if you got these emotional issues as you get older, you're naturally going to start if you don't address them, you're naturally going to start craving sugar, white sugar, processed sugar, candy, cookies, sweets, cakes, stuff like that. You're naturally going to start craving sugar. Even if you don't, you might not believe me, G. Like, next time you claim you craving sugar, just stop and be like, okay, what do I hope to gain from this? But that's later, right? So you're naturally gonna start craving sugar in hopes to have that sugary food give you that feeling of nurturing or love that you did not receive in your childhood. So if you consistently eating a whole bunch of sugar, sweets, candy, cake, all that throughout your childhood, your teenage years, your young adulthood, your mid adulthood, all that, what they gonna say around age 20, 30 when you overweight? Oh, now you have diabetes. So what is diabetes? So in African Holistic Health, I'm gonna read an excerpt. He says, diabetes is a disease of the pancreas. The condition exists when the body has sugar, which is the natural fuel for the body. The sugar is available, but the body fails to recognize it. This causes excess sugar to accumulate, which the body gets rid of by excess urinating. Excessive urination causes thirst, dehydration, weight loss, loss of appetite, overwork kidney, and pancreas. The pancreas is responsible for secreting the hormone insulin, which stimulates the use of sugar. Diseases, emotions, and/or social stressors can stimulate the pituitary and/or adrenals, which overtaxes the pancreas, resulting in diabetes. So this excess sugar that you're eating as a result of not having the proper amount of nurturing and receiving or giving love in your childhood is causing you to crave sweets. And then you craving sweets, you eating all these sweets, the sugar is just building up in your body, and now it's stressing out your pancreas, and your pancreas being stressed is not able to produce the insulin that it needs to, and now you have diabetes. So they're not going to tell you that. It all stems from you not addressing your need or lack of love and nurturing that you did not have as a child. But you can see it based on the trail of events that I just explained, that you can trace diabetes back to an emotional cause. Same thing goes for, the book, it keep going. So it literally says, white sugar is the primary cause of sugar diabetes. Diabetes is an emotional illness that can be caused by the inability to love and/or receive love. Sugar represents love, and the dysfunctional love emotions are medicated by eating sugar. And then later on in the book, it was talking about like the nicknames people give in love, like, oh, hey, honey, hey, sweetie, hey, sugar. Like that's not on accident. Like sugar is like love, essentially associated with love. So again, everything holistic, everything is connected. But just think about that stream of events. You didn't have the proper nurturing in childhood. That's the emotional imbalance. That lack of nurturing, that emotional imbalance causes you to crave sweets. You eating a whole bunch of sweets, now you got excess sugar in your body. And that excess sugar is causing your body to urinate. You just urinating. That's causing you to get dehydrated and putting stress on your pituitary gland, and that's putting stress on your pancreas, and your pancreas is responsible for producing insulin. And if you don't have the insulin that you need, then what's that? Diabetes. Boom. Now, same thing applies for other areas of life. So like you got the bready foods like cakes and maybe like pound cake, cupcakes, or, just bready consistencies that's associated with insecurities. You got the salty foods that's associated with anger and violence and repressed frustration, all of that. Just think about that. You craving salty foods because you angry. You got anger you never let go of, anger you never healed, anger you never allowed yourself to feel and healthily release. Now you craving salt and fried foods, and you eating all this salt and all this grease from the fried foods. Now your arteries getting clogged up. Now you having heart attacks. Like it all just plays into each other. Everything's connected, like I said. So, different perspective, right? New book, Black Root Science, written by African Griot. He explains in the books that there's two types of griots. One of them is literally trained from birth to memorize the tribal history, essentially, because our people, indigenous tribes, their main way of communicating was through word of mouth. They have literal people they trained from the moment they came out the coochie to learn how to remember stuff word for word, exactly how it was translated to them, so that the generations after them, like, nothing's missing, essentially. So there's different types of griots, but overall they're tribal historians. That's what this person is. He wrote Black Root Science. So he says it from a different perspective. So he says, all sickness is caused by neglecting some aspect of your character. The body is the unity of all aspects of character, and neglecting one or more of them results in illness in the corresponding part of the body. Diseases fall under two classes of causes: those caused by a deficiency in the individual's own character, and those imposed on them due to a deficiency in someone else's character. One common example is improper or inadequate breastfeeding. A lot of mothers in modern society breastfeed their children very inadequately, if at all. The most common damage that results from this comes in adulthood in the form of cigarette addiction. Unbelievable as it may sound, a large percentage of addiction to cigarettes is the result of insufficient time spent at the mother's breast. Cigarette companies know this and design cigarette butts the same color as a white woman's nipple and make the rest of it white like milk to evoke those childhood memories, not to mention the chemicals they add to make sure people stay addicted. So again, just look at that train of events. Inadequate breastfeeding, inadequate connection to a mother during infancy can cause the cigarette addiction later in life. Cigarette addictions, lung cancer, all type of stuff like cigarettes, y'all know them booty butt cheeks. But just all of that, just trace it back to an emotional illness, an emotional imbalance, an emotional dis-ease, like addressing your traumas, the true sources of your traumas is the key to health. Like everything is connected. We are holistic beings. You hit one aspect, everything else after that is going to be hit. So if you having issues, especially if it's something you're conscious of and you're choosing to ignore it, you're gonna pay for that later. Like address your issues, like face your stuff, feel it and face it. And I also have a personal example I want to give. And if you somebody I know personally, or just you follow my personal social media page, you saw me say something about this a couple weeks ago. So just for a little bit of background. So I worked at an Amazon warehouse for a total of about 8 months, right? So I haven't worked there since 2020. I was working they have mandatory 40 hours a week. If it's not mandatory overtime, let me correct myself. So it's 40 hours a week, 10 hours a day on your feet. No sit downs. You get a 30-minute break. Like 10 straight hours on your feet. At this point in time, I was responsible for paying my own rent. And it would have been inconvenient to not have my own money to do that. Like it would have been inconveniencing other people to, be like, oh, can you pay my rent? Cause blah, 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 so I was paying my own rent, and I also had to use that money to feed myself too while I was in school, because I didn't work while I was in school. So I'm going in. Sometimes it was only, I think this was 2020. So because of COVID, they didn't have mandatory OT. So I'm going in 5 days a week. 5 days a week, I'm working 50 hours, sometimes 60. I don't think I actually did that more than once, though. But I'm working 50 hours a week, sometimes 60, right? Because I was trying to make sure that I had the money that I needed to provide for myself. So this, me standing on my feet, and even if I didn't do OT, like even before I was doing OT, like just standing on my feet for 10 hours a day was starting to make my body break down, right? And the only reason I went to Amazon out of any other job was because of how much money they paid me and how fast I could get employed. Again, worrying about not being able to provide for myself. So they caused all these issues. Basically, something happened with my hip. And like, I don't know. Honestly, I still don't really know what's going on. But this past May, it was like my hip was so bad to the point where I was limping when I walk. Like, and I'm 21, so that's not supposed to be happening. So I finally try to, at the end of the month, I'm like, all right, I need to go to the doctor, try to get an x-ray, try to get an MRI, see what's going on with my hip, because this is not supposed to be happening. Like, I'm 21, I shouldn't be limping around, because my hip is hurting. So I didn't even get to go to the doctor till June to get an x-ray. I don't see anything, got to get an MRI, which I knew from the jump because x-rays can't pick up muscles. But long story short, it's taken a long time for them to see me. Like, I got an MRI, everything. I still haven't been back to the doctor yet. I can't even get another appointment for another 2 weeks because they busy or whatever they said. So during that time where I'm waiting for, appointments to come up, I'm just taking it upon myself to, okay, I know personally that there's an emotional cause to everything. Now, I'm trying to think, like, it didn't make sense to me, like, what emotional problem would I have that would cause my hip and back to be hurting, to be causing all these muscular and bone issues in me as a 21-year-old healthy woman. Like, I couldn't figure out nothing that would have emotionally caused me to be dealing with these things. And I'm just like, okay, as time went on, I recognized through other means that I have an intense fear of not having what I need. Like, it's bad. So I started doing work on my root chakra. I'm sitting outside for hours at a time. I'm doing guided meditations. I'm doing hip opening stretches, all this, right? And the root chakra is associated with survival. It's blocked by fear. Fear of not being able to have what you need to survive. Fear of not being safe. Fear of not being secure. During this time, something just clicked. Like, that's what happened to me with my hip. It manifested physically. I worked at Amazon 2 years ago. It's been 2 years. And that fear I had is the cause of everything that I've been dealing with. I was scared of not having what I needed to provide for myself. So I'm overworking myself. I'm at Amazon, period, number one. Because that wasn't my first year working there. And I knew from the first time that that wasn't a job to have unless you absolutely needed it. But me doing OT, fear, out of fear of not being there, I'm going to get as much money as I can because I want to make sure I have what I need. Even through all the pain, like, I'm okay. I could have tried to get another job somewhere, but I'm like, oh, nobody else is going to hire me that fast. And I'm trying to get as much money as I can to make sure I have what I need. Everything. It rooted back to me having fear of not being able to provide for myself. And that fear manifested physically. And again, the root chakra is associated with fear. And the root chakra is also like what ruled or it guides the muscular and skeletal system. And I'm having muscular and skeletal issues. Coincidences do not exist. So that's honestly what made me want to make a video about this, because I just came to this realization through the month of June. And it's like, at this point, through all the work I've been doing, I probably don't even need to go back to the doctor because I'm almost 100% fine now. Like, I've fixed my issue. I found the source of it. I've been doing the work I need to do. I've been doing the physical strengthening I need to do. I've been doing the emotional work I need to do. And I've been doing the spiritual and, mental work that I need to do in order to regulate that part of me so that I can heal it properly. Because I'm guaranteeing when I get to the doctor, they're going to say they can't find anything. I can almost bet that they're going to say they didn't find anything wrong. But that just goes back to what I'm saying. The physical diseases stem from emotional imbalances. So I say all of this to say, if you're still young, you have issues that you need to address, or you have certain feelings, you have anxious feelings, you have sad feelings, you have anger, you might not know where it stems from. You need to get to the source of your stuff, because if you don't, it's just going to sit there and it's going to fester and it's going to turn into something later on that is going to be worse for you and harder for you to cure, as opposed to doing it now. So when you feeling negative feelings, like, don't try to suppress them. Don't try to smoke them away. Don't try to sex them away. Don't try to drink them away. Like, feel them. Like, yes, it's going to hurt, but feel them. Allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to hurt. And when you get past that, you accept it. Once you allow yourself to feel it, you can accept it. And when you accept it, you can let it go. You don't want you not feeling love to turn into you having diabetes. Now you having, like, strokes and all types of issues that could have been avoided if you just addressed it. Like, address your emotions, feel them. Like I said earlier, if you craving a certain type of food, you craving salt, you craving sweets, you craving bread, just sit and ask yourself, if I eat this, when I eat this, what feeling am I hoping to get from it? Is it comforting me? Does it make me feel warm? Does it make me feel loved? Does it make me feel like cared about? Like, whatever that feeling is, you need to address, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I like this? And take the necessary steps that you need to do to fix that, whether it's having a conversation with somebody, whether it's working on, talking about different things that might be lacking from your current relationships, anything. Like, just address your feelings, because if you let them sit and fester, it can turn into physical disease, and then it's not going to be no suppressing, because you can't suppress your insulin not being produced. You can't suppress your arteries not being flexible, and now they getting clogged up and giving you heart attacks. That's not something you could suppress. So if you just face your feelings, feel your feelings, and address your emotional issues, because that can save you so much. And if you already having these issues, you want to look at your lifestyle, of course. Look at the type of foods that you're eating. Same questions. When you craving stuff, why am I craving this? Where is this feeling coming from? Get to the root of that. and start working that through. Like, it might be older people who need to have conversations with people too, their parents, their brothers, their husbands, their wives, their ex-husbands, their ex-wives. Anybody. Like, you just need to address all your emotional turmoil so that you can begin to heal the roots of your issue versus just putting a band-aid on the symptoms of it. So yeah, that's it. Take care of yourself, feel your feelings, and enjoy your Wednesday.